the end of the 1800s, and then my mother moving to Chicago from Mexico in 1968. She wasn't intending to. And you'll find out more about that in my book, Chicago Girl, when that's ready. I also I want to thank Lady B and Andy for loading up some audio because you'll see on my Facebook page, I posted a clip from a hearing today that was taking place. It was... let me see. What's the name of this representative? It was a House committee that was discussing Doge oversight, right? Because these Doge bags are in there without anybody seemingly having any responsibility. There's this back and forth, even in court, where the White House has testified that Elon Musk is not the head of Doge. And then during Trump's speech, he said, no, he's running Doge, or the days afterwards. And then having a cabinet meeting where he said, no, he's not supposed to fire anybody. That's for the secretaries to do, which of course then, that's been happening. And yesterday they announced that the Department of Education would be slashing over 1,000 jobs from that agency. At any rate, there's a great clip on my page. You'll have to go to my page for that because I don't know how to bring up the audio here. But Lady B and Andy gave me other audio. This one is a guy yelling about why isn't Elon Musk here? Look at these empty chairs. He thinks he's above the law. That he can't. He said it's Representative Larson exploded during Doge hearings, telling Musk that being rich does not put him above the law. So go to my Facebook page to see that clip because we need that energy every day, all day, and he is yelling. And then it is about standing up and not allowing, not permitting, not normalizing things, right? I know we said that for a long time, but our Democrats need to be as fierce and forceful as these, Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, just absolutely destroying the traditions and norms of professionalism. So this is Representative Keith. Now, yesterday they were in a hearing on armament. I believe this was in regards to artillery. I don't know if it's in regards to Ukraine, but this is the very beginning of the meeting, and the first Congress member to be a trans member of Congress, Sarah McBride, was about to speak in this committee hearing, and let's see, she was misgendered, and good for her for throwing it right back. Let me see if I know how to do this. Oh, right click. She said, right. Lady B said, right click. Play.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply...
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Get him.
Could you repeat what you just said?
Get him.
You introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America. Please.
Yes.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?
Yes.
I mean, I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
I'm taking my toys and going home. This meeting is adjourned because I want to say mean things and you're calling me on it. Why are you calling me? I'm being mean. I love it. If you didn't catch it, Congresswoman Sarah McBride called him chairwoman. Just chair madam. I think she said chair madam. Because they're freaking children, these people. Fine. If you're going to keep me meaning me. That's how they all sound. Okay. At any rate. Oh, the mocking that you just heard was brought to you by our sponsors. I want to thank all of our sponsors. They may not. By the way, the views of the show do not necessarily reflect the folks who are generous enough and kind enough and are invested in making sure that we have important conversations. It does not necessarily reflect on them. So maybe I should give it a little space. I am very grateful for our sponsors. We hung out on Monday with our friends from Source Solar. I had a great conversation, and that conversation is available as a standalone podcast podcast. Thank you so much to our producers here at WCPT. I asked Andy to make sure that was peeled out because I think there were so many questions that they answered for folks. And they also probably stirred a little bit of curiosity. So go to source.solar for more information. And you can find the full podcast available on heartlandsignal.com. I know that Minocqua Brewing Company, Kirk, our good friend Kirk Bankstead, has no problem with my tone of voice. That's always been something that's followed me. I don't appreciate your tone. Yeah, you know what my tone reflects? The people I'm talking to. Just say, if you don't like my tone, it's because you're terrible. At any rate, Kirk Bankstead, of course, our friend from Minocqua Brewing Company, go to minocquabrewingcompany.com, sign up for their newsletter, and if you order some woke coffee today, it supports the work that I do there because I am a columnist. I wrote a piece on Monday called Solidarity, Not Surrender, and maybe we'll talk more about those folks who are using this moment to opportunistically. I came right up to the word. I knew I could. I thought I might not be able to. They're being opportunistic. There it is. Folks like Rahm Emanuel who want to divide us even further by throwing human rights under the train in order to grab the headlines. So go to minocquabrewingcompany.com. You can order some of their great brews, wines. They also have great their Nope seltzer is fantastic. Some of their woke coffee. They've got great hats and T-shirts, and they support the work that we do. And by visiting his website, you support the work that I do here at WCPT. Also, want to thank our friends from the way back. The way back. It is March is. I feel like I came in talking. Can we start the whole show over? We're gonna come back from the break, and I do feel like today, like I'm the dog from Up, like squirrel. For those of you who think I talk too fast, I'm going to agree with you right now. I want to thank our friends from the way back in. It is Gambler Awareness Month. Go to 1-800-GAMBLER. Call 1-800-GAMBLER to get more information. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, you can also go to areyourreallywinning.com to find out more information about the work that they do to help families throughout Illinois. And we want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsabove.all.org and find out about their incredible mission to help make sure that children live happy, healthy, safe lives. Let's take a break here. I'm going to take a big drink of water, slow it down a little bit, and continue our conversation. The phone lines are open, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. You can call or text, and we would love to hear from you.
Hey Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Chu's Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. here on WCPT. I want to let you know that one of our leading progressive voices, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, will be my guest the first Friday of each month at 7:30 a.m.
There are so many people who want to understand how decisions are made, and there are many people who want to know that they are included in those decisions.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, the first Friday of every month on Chu's Views here on WCPT.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the mid-1800s, many American women were expected to follow what history calls the cult of true womanhood, where men would go off to work and women would stay home, taking care of the house, their children, and husbands. During the Civil War, many women left their homes to join the fight. Thousands of women from the North and South volunteered to join brigades, while over 400 women disguised themselves as men to fight in the war. In the Union, 20,000 white and African American women worked as nurses, traveling from hospital to hospital, offering care to wounded soldiers, even helping to convince the government to create United States Sanitary Commission to create a preventive, hygienic, and sanitary service for the benefit of the Army. During the Civil War, women were faced with new duties, challenging many men's minds for what should be a proper woman's place.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
Or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Okay, I am taking some refreshing hydration, having a little bit of water. Let's get to our phone calls. Jim in Chicago, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. This is an undeclared war. This is all-out war at all American citizens. The casualties will be great. You name it. School children, people on Social Security, veterans. And as far as I can tell, you've got the Federalist Society who waxed and waned for this to come, Hillsdale College, Prager University, and all curriculum, all containing facts that Democrats, at their core, in their soul, are errant of America. They don't believe they're trying to hijack America, and they're going to replace it with this ideology that they don't even know where it's headed. Nobody could even, because nobody can predict the future, Patty. Nobody on earth can predict the future. Nobody knows what it's going to look like in 10 years. But the point is, in my mind, they want to rip up all Democratic achievements. You'll see Hillsdale College, they'll advertise, they'll show Wilson as a Marxist, they'll show FDR as a Marxist, they'll show the Bible, in fact, that our interpretation of the Bible isn't their interpretation of the Bible. I mean, it's so far-reaching in its philosophy that I don't know what do they want? They just want, I mean, because fascism, Patty, it's got its own indigenous people. I mean, it was in Germany, it was Italy, so. But this is the United States of America, where we have every ethnic group of people, every religious group, people that aren't religious. It doesn't matter. We're American citizens, and under that criteria. But this is not. I'm absolutely amazed that the media doesn't call it exactly what it is. This is war on America. It's war on America. Yep. How many vets did they fire today, and how many the Department of Education? What about the poor kids in school? What are they supposed to do? And then a war on our medical. You know, where every other country, every civilized country has single-payer health care. They have a way to get health care, regardless of what your circumstances are. But not in America. They want us to pay. And behind it, you notice all these people that are instigating, they're all pretty well loaded, aren't they, Patty? They're pretty loaded with dough. They're not exactly hurting for dough.
Nope.
So it isn't like a Marxist revolution where you're trying to get the serfs and the whatever, the poor people trying to go after the czars. These are already the czars. But they want more.
Yep, I know.
They want more.
They want to privatize everything between the Department of Education, making more charter schools and parochial schools, privatizing the U.S. Post Office. We already have, as you mentioned, our healthcare system. I was talking to a social worker today, and she was talking about how she was processing payment from, what the insurance was billing, what the insurance said they owed, and what the item was. It was a mobility device, and what the healthcare provider charged. She goes, it fluctuated. Get this. Between $3,000 and $10,000 every time the bill kept coming around. So what's the actual cost of the item, and who's jacking it up? Who's trying to profit? And it's the in between is the insurance company.
Right. Teddy Kennedy, God love him, put a proposal on for free burials for American citizens. Well, he was booed off the Senate floor for that. But he would always come back and say, greed. How greedy can you get? How greedy can you get? Well, now we see the greed, the unmitigated greed. It's a war. It's a war against the But why would they want to put their footprint on America when they've already got enough money to go anywhere in the world, Patty? These people can go anywhere they want to go.
Yep.
If they want to go to Monte Carlo, they can go to Monte Carlo tomorrow or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about American citizens in school and look at look at this abortion ruling. 50 years. And please believe me, Patty. I went to a Catholic school, Dominican nuns. They were on the bus for Obamacare, and they were getting bugged about abortion. They said, "Well, forget abortion. We need health care for everybody."
Yeah.
I was perfectly satisfied with 50 years of that ruling. But this is war. This is war on people.
It is.
This is war.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. And the thing is that they've been building it up as though it was a war on Christmas. It was a war on Christians. It's we're trying to phase out white people and all this stuff. And, I can't argue with you, Jim. I got to run to another call, my friend.
Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Your calls will be answered in the order they've been received. Hey, Dave in Hoffman Estates. How are you doing today? I'm sorry. Are you hydrating? Fantastic! I don't even care what you're drinking. That was lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
What are you drinking? Sorry. Teasing. Hold on, my turn.
Yesterday, I was telling Lady B about that, where they had the news where Southwest was going to start charging for bags now.
Yeah.
And I caught that story on CNBC in the morning, and Becky Quick, one of the moderators, and she was very quick of the mind. She says they shouldn't be charging for the bags. They're already checked in. She said they need to charge for the carry-on.
Right.
She said because of how the people that get on in it, they go run into the back and take out the overhead
on their way to the back.
already.
Yep.
And then how they bottle up the aisles and. People start getting in fights even, and
it's tense
that was a
up there.
brilliant idea, I thought, on that one. That's
what Spirit does. I think Spirit charges for carry-on bags, I believe. You're only allowed like a small bag. I could be wrong. I don't. Although they don't, they apparently have a pretty good flying record. They just make me unsettled. That's all. Thanks, Dave.
And,
do you have another one?
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
Go ahead. I know.
Where they've ripped about on Bill Maher, how he's kind of fell out of favor. And I'm thinking about another comic a few years back who had one time been kind of a libs, and he was Dennis Miller.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny? I disliked Dennis Miller before he became a raging right-winger, right? Because I saw him at the University of Illinois in 1990, and this guy got paid like $25,000, and he could not have cared less. He mailed it in. He was like looking at, it was an awful performance. It was such a, and so I didn't like him before I found that out, and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
And then the way he'd sit there and laugh at his own, but all it took for him was just getting a ride on Air Force One from like H.W. Bush.
Right.
And lastly with him, have you ever noticed that he's got teeny tiny hands too, like somebody we know? Just an observation when I've seen some of these old things. So.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, be well.
You too. Take care. And Andrew's in LaGrange. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just wanted to say this summer, I think that everyone needs to take a staycation if they can. Buy local.
Yes.
Support your local businesses.
Yes.
Because what this 25% tariff is, other than outrageous, it's a gift to corporate America. Because with everything that happens, that they're going to get in a boardroom and they're going to say, "Oh, well, hey, how about we add another 10%?" They're not going to know,
right?
Then they could blame it on the tariffs. So I think if you really want to fight back this summer, stay local, support your local businesses. And that's the people who are going to get hit the worst is the mom and pop.
I have to tell you,
they're going to have to raise their prices.
Yeah, I have to tell you, and by the way, folks, I mean, I know that it's hard. You're like, I remember years ago trying to buy only items that were made in the United States, and it was hard because it was more expensive. We don't have as much manufacturing, and then there were, and I really started to rely on Amazon, which had a section for American made only. But I will tell you, when you are much more mindful about how much you're automatically going to your phone and buying something from Amazon, I'll tell you, Andrew, my credit card bill has dropped significantly. I actually moved money, by the way, out of Chase Morgan as well because of some of the things that this guy Jamie Dimon has been saying. So I was like, well, I don't need to keep my money there. So I'm trying to be much more thoughtful. And I definitely, I went on that day when they were boycotting, doing the economic boycott on that first Friday. I think it was the 28th, right? I only shopped local. Yeah. And I think if we do, you're right. I agree with you. For my mother's birthday, we stayed in Chicago downtown. We only ate at smaller restaurants that were locally owned. So I'm with you. Let's do this, Andrew. I'm in it. Let's go.
Hey, great. Come on down to the LaGrange Theater. They're having their 100th anniversary.
It's a beautiful theater and such a great community. Is there I bet you there's some good little hotels down in that cute downtown area?
Well, there's just local hotels.
That's all right.
There are, but they're still they're locally owned. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there are some. That's the thing. There's they're still around.
Yeah. And some great restaurants too. That's a great idea, Andrew. I appreciate everyone.
Oh yeah, Restaurant Row down there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, let's go to LaGrange, everybody. Thank you for the tips, Andrew.
Thank you, Patty.
Take care. Bye. Let's take a break here. I'm very excited because we got some folks coming. I'm always happy. Can I just tell you, I love all my guests. I like you a little bit more when you come in studio. Is that mean for me to say? I'm greedy that way. I like connecting with people. And in just a moment, we're going to bring in some folks to talk about some local races. We're going to be talking to our friends from Addison Township. Of course, we've been talking about a lot of the races in DuPage County. And we're going to talk to our friends Maria Vesey, who's running for clerk, Debbie Sandstrom, and Titus Dare of the Board of Trustees. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal. We're so glad you're here.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Regina Kroll. For this evening, mostly clear as we drop back to 37. Warmer Thursday, high of 59 and sunny. Then passing clouds come in for Thursday night as we bottom out around 48. Temperatures warm even more for Friday, high of 74, mostly sunny, but it will be windy. Showers and thunderstorms come in Friday night. Mostly cloudy, we dip back to 55. Showers and storms will linger into Saturday, too. Partly sunny and a high of 64. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 52 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Where are they now with Art and Bobby? She is the founder and owner of Mazum Sea Moss. Let's welcome Kim Jin. Good morning, Kim.
Well, it's delicious, and it's supposed to be very healthy for you.
I noticed I started spitting up phlegm. It might not be sexy. I go to the toilet constantly around the same time every day.
Listen to Where Are They Now Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Hey, listen.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And I really am thrilled that you're here. And I'm even more thrilled, not more thrilled that you're here, not that they're here, but I am. Because a lot of people, they're like, can we do it on a phone? Do we have to drive in? So when people come in my studio, I get very happy. And we get presents. So I hope that helps for the long drive in. We have joining us, we have Addison, we have Maria Vesey, who's running for clerk in Addison Township, right?
Hi.
Hello.
Yes,
Hi,
I am
Maria.
running for clerk in Addison Township.
Excellent. By the way, I can't wait to talk about this because we've learned so much over the last few years about clerks and things like that. So I want to talk more about that. We also have Debbie Sandstrom. Hi, Debbie. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. So glad to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you. And we have Titus Dare. Both of you are on the Board of Trustees, running for Board of Trustees.
That's right.
Board, that's correct.
All right. Well, let's start with Maria. So Maria, you're running for clerk. First of all, tell us a little bit about where'd you grow up, my friend?
Oh, well, I grew up in Bellwood.
Okay.
And I've been on your show before. We've had some of these wacky conversations on how I felt like I grew up in the best neighborhood in the whole world. And that's one of the reasons that I do what I do.
Sure.
I grew up in a town that had their own astronaut, their own Blackhawks player. I mean, I lived literally in the best neighborhood in the world, and it was great. And that's one of the reasons I do what I do. I want every kid, when they're an adult, to go, I grew up in the best neighborhood in the whole wide world. And I think that's one of the reasons we're all doing what we're doing right now.
That's great. I mean, I can't say that I love my neighborhood. It's just got a lot of, it needs a little help. That's all I'm saying. I love that.
Well, I think
all
they all
need help,
need
don't
some.
they?
Yeah.
But Anyway, I'm not quite as proud of my neighborhood as you are, because you are like, you want everyone to live in the, that's fantastic.
I do. We now have a second astronaut from Bellwood. We have two astronauts.
What's in the water? Are they good at science and math?
I don't know. Like some really great math guys at one point, because Gene Cernan, who was the last American man to ever walk on the moon, was from my neighborhood. My mother did his mom's hair. Occasionally there would be an astronaut standing on my front lawn.
That's so funny. I love that. Are you, so how long have you been involved in like civic service, wanting to be somebody who strives?
The very first protest rally I ever went to, I was 6 years old with my uncle. We were protesting the Vietnam War. I have not stopped since. I have protested for the rights for Roe v. Wade with my mother. I was on a lot of union picket lines with my uncles and my grandfather. This has just been the way of my family. We have always been the helpers that came out when somebody needed something. I was born in 1963 to a woman who never married my dad. So that was kind of, a little weird.
Right.
But that was her choice to do. And in 1963, that was rather bold to do. And thankfully, she had my grandparents as backup. But this has always been my family, the way of it. We were always the helpers. We were always the ones that went out to seek people who needed something.
Wow. I mean, and it's great to be raised that way. I was not raised. I mean, my mother has been very civically minded, has worked in organizations. My dad, less so. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, my friend Debbie?
Where did I grow up? Well, that's a kind of a long story. I was born in Chicago, but my cognizant childhood was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, where my parents were missionaries.
Okay.
So and my father was a medical doctor and my mother was a teacher. Mm-hmm. So that whole doing things for others was all part of my DNA from the beginning as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so when did you become more involved at the sort of the government level, wanting to serve your community in this way?
Well, I, volunteered a little for Obama's campaign, but I grew up very, very patriotic. The USA was the best country in the world, and we didn't live there, but we wanted to go there. It was but it was a place of where you could achieve things, right? And so when Trump won, all my ideals were shot. So I went to the march in D.C., and that was the beginning of the next number of years till now.
This is something I told my son. He was, I can't remember, he was 13 or 14 when Trump won. Because I didn't believe that he was going to win until the Monday before I started to think, okay, because I started seeing this momentum, this energy. And but I had not thought. I thought this is where we were going. I'd seen the hatred sort of boiling up for, people of color and for women and all this stuff. And one of the things I remember telling him was, this is going to wake up a lot of people who might not otherwise have been involved in helping people. They will fight for each other. And that sounds like something that I think a lot of us, might have been doing some things and sort of getting involved and going, oh, wait a minute, this is way worse than I thought. So
yes, I know so many people just like me in my area.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And how about you, my friend Titus?
Well, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island. Then moved on up to Boston and then down to a wonderful little town called Worcester. That's
okay.
It's like Worcester sauce, but it's Worcester. Yeah, so you've got to have the right enunciation there. And then from there, I was fortunate enough to, be a hockey player and fairly good. So the next thing I know, I moved on through the system and ended up in the St. Louis Blues system.
I'm sorry, what's happening? Go ahead, continue.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I ended up working my way all the way to the NHL, and then certain injuries happen, they do with everybody.
Sure.
And back in those days, there was only 12 teams in the National Hockey League, not 31.
Wow.
So it was once you were injured, you were damaged goods, and therefore they went on to the next player.
You were disposable.
Who was uninjured.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So, and then from there, I stayed in St. Louis and started to grow my life as a banker, and
as you do.
Exactly. And so here I am today.
So Slapshot, is that a movie you would say is reflective of the hockey experience?
Believe it or not, that movie is more close to reality than you would want to.
Have you ever seen Slapshot?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, I love Slap. Are you kidding me? Little Paul Newman, a couple of guys in their underwear skating. I mean, come on now.
Absolutely, it doesn't get any better.
Now, Youngblood was also. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yes.
Patrick Swayze and Rob Lowe. I'm sorry, I just got. I didn't grow up on hockey in Chicago. I think you're familiar. We didn't because they basically the owners of the team were like, if you want to see or hear the game, you got to buy a ticket. So we had no television coverage or radio coverage of the Blackhawks.
Right.
So a lot of us. I'm still a baseball fan.
Yeah.
So tell me, what brought you to public service and wanting to serve your community?
It's just always been there. My family, believe it or not, my grandfather started out as a tax collector in Connecticut. My family had migrated down from Quebec. So, how do you get to be an American? You have to go through some things. And my grandfather and grandmother did and became Americans. My grandfather ran for tax collector, and that was the beginning of the political career for everyone in the family.
Do you still have family in Canada?
I do.
And how are they doing?
They're cold.
What do they think about us? It's not going well.
No.
They offer us shelter.
I know.
No.
Are they offering you shelter?
Oh, yeah. I can go home anytime I want.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my mom.
I've been invited home. Come on home now. While you're still safe.
Do you have anybody in other parts of the world that are like his family?
Well, just for full disclosure, Titus and I are a couple.
Aw.
So,
Debbie's like, I gotta sit between these two.
Yeah.
See these two get out of hand.
I'm wishing to get adopted.
So he often says, we can always go to Canada.
This is so cute. I love that this is the couples that run together stay together is all I'm saying.
Yes, we do.
That's wild. Now, Debbie, do you have anybody in the world that offers you shelter should things go south?
I got to make my shelter here.
Yeah.
Got to uphold this place.
We think about it like it's just, and I just had a conversation today. I don't think I'm going anywhere. I love my city. I love my state.
Rosie O'Donnell just left.
She went to Ireland. And Trump brings it up in the middle of a meeting with dignitaries from Ireland and said he didn't. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend did, and was like, did you know you have Rosie now? And then Trump jumped on that. I'm like, anyway, yes, we've been trying to trace our lineage also to Ireland. My mom is from Mexico. We'll figure it out. But I think for us, the reason you're running is because you know that things can be better for people, right? And that's what drives you. So for clerk, we've been talking to a lot of folks who serve as clerks around the Chicagoland area and Northern Illinois. So tell folks who maybe haven't heard those conversations about the responsibilities and what you want to bring to that role.
First of all, the clerk is not secretarial.
Right.
Let's get this straight. I will not be the supervisor secretary.
Right.
The clerk has several responsibilities. She's the chief notary of the township. She runs the passport agency. And she's also chiefly in charge of senior services.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Wait a minute. Is it different for clerks in different areas?
No, that's the basics of the township structure. Addison Township does not belong to the Illinois Township Association. They are the only township in DuPage County that does not, because that would create accountability. So they shy away from being accountable to anyone.
That's like a little shade is what you're throwing over there. Go ahead, continue.
I'm throwing a little.
I appreciate that as a champion of shade. Please continue.
That would be moi. So their senior services are far and few between. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back to the wonderful grandparents I had again. They lived in Bellwood. They lived in the Proviso Township. The Proviso Township has services that my grandmother used often, which allowed her to stay in her home till she was 92 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
We do not in Addison Township have any of those services. We do not have a handyman that does small jobs that seniors shouldn't be doing, like crawling under the sink to fix the little loopy pipe. That's what I call it. I know there's a name for it.
It's a P-trap.
Thank you. Thank you. The P-trap. All right.
No fighting on the air in this. I'm just saying. Don't make me.
We don't have a medical equipment rental, which when my grandfather was ill, we literally had a hospital bed in that house in 2 hours because of the Proviso Township.
Right.
We do not have landscaping that is partly covered by the township like they do in Proviso. We do not have snow removal for seniors, which is necessary. There's just a lot of things we don't have. They have one vaccine clinic a year, which is not good enough at all. And all they give out at that vaccine clinic is flu shots. We're missing so much more on behalf of our seniors. I'm sure these guys are going to talk about it, but we also have an issue with the food pantry. So I will let these guys talk about the food pantry. But that's one of the many things that the clerk does do and does cover. She's also in charge of the transparency that comes with the meetings. The meetings are currently not on Zoom and they're currently not recorded. So if you don't go to the meeting, you have no idea of whether or not the minutes the following month are correct because there's no way to check them.
Right.
There's no accountability in those meetings, and that needs to change.
I love it. I love the mission that you're on, the vision that you have for the role of clerk. I want to take a break here and find out more about the Board of Trustees for Addison Township. We are in studio with our friends who are so grateful. I'm so grateful that you drove all the way in. We have in studio with us a candidate for clerk who you just heard from, our friend Maria Vesey. We also have Debbie Sandstrom and Titus Dare, who are both running for Board of Trustees. We'll learn more about their races when we come back. You can go to mariaforil48.com to learn more about Maria's agenda, her platform, and her background, and how you can volunteer and support her race. And also AddisonDemocrats.com, I'm guessing, is also for the Board of Trustees race. Mm-hmm. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KT. Oh, that's in the second hour. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. I mean, we love KTNF. I can say it.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Our social media feeds are filled with so much good, but also so much garbage. Yes, what you see is to some extent out of your control, but there are also tangible things you can do to make your scrolling more enjoyable. My colleague Madeline recently wrote about how she's curated her experience, and she had these 4 pieces of actionable advice. Number 1, spend time on what you actually want to see. These algorithms are smart. They're going to feed you more of what you like. Number 2, know what you're looking for and try and avoid the rabbit holes. That way you're not spending mental energy deciding what you want to read or watch. Number 3, just as important, know what you're going to swipe away from. Simply the stuff that doesn't make you feel good. And number 4, really important, hide, unfollow, or delete any accounts that don't suit you. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx saved you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not...
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
So much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and we have candidates in studio for some seats for Addison Township. We have in studio with us, we have Debbie Sandstrom, Titus Dare, and Maria Vesey. Debbie and Titus are running for Board of Trustees, and Maria is running for clerk. You can go to Dems for Addison Township. .com. That's Dems for AddisonTownship.com to learn about all the candidates, including everyone in studio, as well as Bobby Hernandez for supervisor, Mac Shafi, who's also running for board, and Joey Moore. So you can learn more on the website about all these candidates. But we have some of the Board of Trustees candidates here. So Debbie, let me start with you. So what are the responsibilities for the Board of Trustees?
So the trustees are the people who approve the things that the supervisor wants to do, approve the budget. So I think the role of the trustee is a lot of, why do you want to do this? What's the plan for this? What's your long-term plans? How does this particular thing fit in? How are you budgeting for this? So the role of the trustees is to ask a lot of questions and to help as a group think through the ramifications and the responsibilities and how to allocate resources best in the service of the residents.
That's fantastic. And what do you want to tell people about your experience that brings the vision that you want to share with the board?
For me personally, I guess I'm looking at it. I've done some accreditation work, and an accreditor, if you are accreditors, start with what is the mission of the program. And then how do all the things you do relate to the mission? So, right. What is the purpose of the township, and how are all the things that are happening there relating specifically to that mission? Are they supporting that mission, or are they not?
Right.
Right. And so for me, that's kind of how I like to look at it. And are we following best practice? Are we being transparent? Mm-hmm. What is good governance? Are we following good governance rules? Those are the things that I think are going to be important as we work together as a new township board.
And Titus, tell us a little bit about this community and some of the decisions you would be making, and what you want to, what more, because I know that there's, as you were saying, Debbie, approving different projects. What vision do you have for Addison Township?
I think in Addison Township we probably should be focused more on the services to the community. One being our food pantry.
Okay.
Is only open 1 hour a week.
Come on.
Yes, ma'am.
Seriously? 1 hour a week, yes.
And, a food pantry should be open every day for at least 3 hours. And it should be convenient to the constituents. Right now the food pantry is open at 10:30, so you have to leave your kids or your
job.
Right? And so you can go get some food for your kids to eat that night. That's not appropriate. We should be structuring this so that there are hours where people get off work, let's say at 3:30 in the afternoon, and then we're open till 7:30 at night, till everybody's fed if we can. And then right now I know there's been some calls to some group members on our team where people have said, hey, we'd like to donate 100 meals. And they were told, no, that's okay. Keep them. We don't have any.
What?
Yeah, they couldn't. They said they couldn't have
no
any.
sense of urgency for people who need it.
Nothing.
Come on.
No, it's
how long have these people been in these positions, would you say?
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they've been in for 2 cycles.
Okay.
Which is 8 years.
8 years.
And my opponent has been in her position for 20.
Jeez. And no movement on improving social services for seniors.
None.
Come on now.
Right.
And this is something I've taught when I ran for state rep. This was something I know my neighbor Mitch was talking to me about, like not even knowing what services are available. So you're saying there aren't even any, and if there were, no one would be sharing that information, right?
And one of the issues too, which Debbie will tell you, is most people don't even know they live in Addison Township.
So we've been knocking doors. We've knocked over 6,000 doors at this point.
Congratulations.
And, you come to people and they'll say, well, you do know that you're in Lombard right now, or you do know that you're in Elmhurst. I'm like, yes, this is actually part of Addison Township. This is where the township is, and these are the purposes of a township. A township doesn't have all the jobs of a city. It's got these specific purposes, and one of them is providing services. And so we're educating them on what a township is supposed to do, and the fact that they actually live in one. Yeah.
What would you recommend, Debbie, or anybody, if somebody, like I was talking to folks about Niles and Park Ridge, I was like, I don't understand the Maine Township because they have a Maine. I don't know if it's still Township. Do you have any suggestions for people who don't know that they live in a township that also has a layer of bureaucracy and supports?
This is what I say at the door. I say, the township is the oldest form of government in Illinois. So think about it that way. When there's no city, what are the most urgent things needed? You need an assessor to collect taxes. You need roads because nobody can make roads on their own.
Sure.
And you need somebody who, in the old days, they would have said, you need a way to help the widows and the orphans.
Okay.
And to me, that is how you describe a township. It's the general assistance. It's highway commissioner for the unincorporated roads, and then it's the assessor.
I love it. I think that helps everybody.
And the current administration recently had a referendum on dissolving the Highway Commission in Addison Township, taking on that budget, and the current supervisor has decided he's going to take on the role of Highway Commissioner, therefore giving himself a raise. Debbie, please tell them how much that was.
Oh, God.
Well, the supervisor, so the referendum passed. And it was sort of touted as a way to save money. As soon as the referendum passed, then in the following November meeting, they gave him a 54% raise, bringing him up to $124,900 for what is supposed to be a part-time job.
Whoa. All right, folks, please. And this is an April 1st race election,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And when does early voting start?
17th.
Monday.
St. Patrick's Day. So vote for these folks on St. Patrick's Day. Get your corned beef on. Get your civic duty on. and really, folks. So some of the communities that are served by the Addison Township and DuPage includes parts of or all of Bensonville, Elmhurst. Hi, our friends at Donny Liquors, by the way, in Elmhurst. Elk Grove Village, Itasca. We have our friends Church Street Brewing. Thank you, Jerry. Nice notes here. Church Street Brewing makes a joint session THC Orange Cooler and Lady Justice Vice. Lombard, at Famous Liquors, Villa Park, and Wooddale. So again, that was parts or all of Bensonville, Elmhurst, Elk Grove Village, Itasca, Lombard, Villa Park, and Wooddale. And I love all of those communities. My sister used to live in Bensonville. A lot of really great neighborhoods. So that's a big portion of DuPage County that you guys are running for. So again, folks, go to demsforaddisontownship.com. KTNF.com. Find out about the candidates, why they're running, support them. If you live in the area, vote for them, donate your time, your resources. I have to run. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. I feel like keeping you, but I have another guest at 6:05. So let me figure. If you, we'll talk during the break. Okay. More to this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KTNF. Oh, it's not them yet. Again, Maria Vesey, who's running for clerk. We have Debbie Sandstrom running for Board of Trustees, and Titus Dare also running for Board of Trustees. Get more information at Dems for Addison Township.com.
Thank you.
Question: where were you on May 3rd, 2005? If you were listening to the radio, you may have heard the first day on the air for WCPT. On Saturday, May 3rd, WCPT is celebrating 20 years on the air with a big live broadcast from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll be at Max and Benny's restaurant in Northbrook, and WCPT listeners can attend this special 4-hour broadcast. Al Sparks will kick off the celebration with the WCPT broadcast team. Richard Chu, Joan Esposito, Patti Vasquez, and Scott Duff, as well as surprise guests from our 20-year history. It's the WCPT 20th anniversary, and you're invited to come and celebrate with us. To register for this special event, go to WCPT.com and click on the WCPT anniversary banner. Seating is limited and will sell out quickly. Go to WCPT.com today to register. See you on Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Max and Benny's in Northbrook.
So spread the word that WCPT is just great.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's trade war is going global. Sakar Magani has details.
President Trump has boosted tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports to 25%, openly challenging U.S. allies. The president's moves are part of a bigger effort to both disrupt and transform global commerce.
The United States of America is going to take back a lot of what was stolen from it by other countries.
He's also planning reciprocal tariffs next month on Brazil, South Korea, and the European Union, which announced its own countermeasures aimed partly at goods like beef and wood products from Republican states.
The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the trade war is regrettable.
Tariffs are taxes. They are bad for business and worse for consumers.
Canada's blasting the tariffs on what finance chief Dominic LeBlanc calls its iconic steel and aluminum industries, and says it will boost import taxes on everything from U.S. computers to sporting goods.
We will use every tool at our disposal to defend Canadian jobs and Canadian businesses and support workers.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
That fed another volatile trading day on Wall Street, but encouraging inflation data soothed matters a bit. The S&P and the NASDAQ closing with gains. The Dow a small loss. February's consumer price index was up 2.8% from a year earlier. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin's calling it the most consequential day of deregulation in American history, rolling back rules on pollution from coal-fired power plants, climate change, and electric vehicles. He says it will eliminate trillions of dollars in regulatory costs and hidden taxes on families. And U.S. arms deliveries to Ukraine have resumed after Kyiv signaled it was open to a 30-day ceasefire with Russia. This is AP News. It Donahue has election results from Greenland.
The center-right Democratic Party is the upset winner in parliamentary elections. Democratic and the second-place finisher Nalaraq are in favor of Greenland's independence from Denmark, but Democratic favors a slower pace. Added to the mix, President Trump's push for Greenland to join the U.S. Sheila Geisler Christensen wants independence.
I gotta vote for those who back us up in Greenland as Inuit, and we don't want to be Americans. Like, I don't want to be American, nor Danish. I'm Inuit.
Kuno Fenker with the Nalaraq Party says President Trump respects Greenland's right to self-determination.
He wants to invest in Greenland. He's absolutely welcome to do that.
Democratic Party leader Jens Fredrik Nielsen says Greenland needs to stand together in a time of great interest from outside. I'm Ed Donahue.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Regina Kroll. For this evening, mostly clear as we drop back to 37. Warmer Thursday, high of 59 and sunny. Then passing clouds come in for Thursday night as we bottom out around 48. Temperatures warm even more for Friday, high of 74, mostly sunny, but it will be windy. Showers and thunderstorms come in Friday night. Mostly cloudy, we dip back to 55. Showers and storms will linger into Saturday too. Partly sunny and a high of 64. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 50 degrees.
Save big money on your next painting project right now at Menards. Give your room a grand finish with Pittsburgh Grand Distinction Interior Paint. It's a premium paint and primer with a top resilient finish that is ultra scrubbable and stain resistant. Save big on Pittsburgh paint. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
It's asked their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. We want to thank our sponsors for making these conversations possible. Thank you to our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar to learn more about the great work that they do. And our conversation from Monday is available on the Heartland Signal website, heartlandsignal.com. Just click on the tab with my face on it. It says Patti Vasquez, in case you don't know what I look like. And that interview from Monday is available because I know a lot of folks had questions, and we will be having them on in a few weeks to continue the conversation. And go to source.solar and learn more. Want to thank our friends at Monaco Brewing Company, of course, Kirk Bankstead, fighting the good fight up in Wisconsin. And we will be broadcasting from the Madison Tap Room of the Nerve Center for the Resistance in central Wisconsin or in southern Wisconsin. And go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com, sign up for their newsletter, and you can check out the piece that I wrote this week, Solidarity, Not Surrender. Oops, that was a flub. And so you know that they've got great brew, they've got great gear. You can buy a baseball hat, some T-shirts, and again, sign up for the website for the newsletter. Sorry, everybody, I'm trying to charge my phone while saying all these things. All my guests in the studio are like, I don't know what she's doing, but she's distracted. I also want to thank our friends at the Way Back In. We have, of course, been talking about Gambling Addiction Month. It's Awareness Month for those of us who might be struggling with a gambling addiction or be a family member. My father struggled with this for many years, and I really encourage folks who are either battling an addiction with gambling or love somebody who is, please go to areyoureallywinning.com. Again, that's areyoureallywinning.com, or you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. And we're going to have more conversations with Anita from the Way Back In next week. So please make sure you check out those conversations that are also available on the heartlandsignal.com website. And we want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org and learn about their mission to help kids live happy, healthy, safe lives. And I really do encourage you to check out our sponsors and support them. I have one listener who told me that they would love to sponsor us, but they're concerned about their safety, and I totally appreciate that. And so for those who perhaps are, because when you're out there in the public, you might feel more vulnerable, and I completely understand it. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And of course, we want to say hello to our friends listening right here in Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, or on the TuneIn app, maybe watching on Facebook or YouTube, and our friends listening on KTNF AM950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. We have on on the line with us, a host from KTNF, KTNF AM950. Joining us is Ellie Krug, who's also an attorney and an activist, and has been sharing some insight on what's going on and how our new administration is so dead set on hurting the lives of people who are just living their truth. Right, Ellie? How are you doing today?
Hey, Patty, thanks for having me back. I'm thrilled to be talking with you again. You're right. It has been a constant onslaught against transgender people by this Trump administration and by Trump's acolytes. It has been the last week and a half has shown a little bit of glimmer for us. The Senate held fast. Our Democratic senators held fast and defeated a Republican bill to ban transgender youth from kindergarten all the way through state university senior year from participating in sports. So trans girls can still do that nationally, except for 25 states where it's banned. But Gavin Newsom, you know that guy, right? Out of California.
I cannot tell you how angry. I wrote a piece. This is what my piece was about. It's solidarity, not surrender. Him and Rahm Emanuel made me so angry in the last couple of weeks. It's disgusting. But you tell folks your point of view, because yes.
You know, I mean, he has Charlie Kirk on, of course, for his very first podcast. I don't know why he did that. Yeah. All right, and starts agreeing with Charlie Kirk, a homophobe, a transphobe, starts agreeing with Charlie Kirk, talking about, that trans girls, trans women shouldn't participate in sports. You know, Newsom goes along with that. He also goes along with, saying that essentially trans, people who are incarcerated or transgender shouldn't have access to gender-affirming care, even though multiple federal courts have said that it's a violation of the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution to prevent people from accessing care. So Newsom did that. But Patty, there is a clip I think you're going to play that I want to demonstrate for your listeners, all right, what it really means to show up. So let me set up the clip, okay? So as you know, the very first elected transgender representative, Sarah McBride from Delaware, she was elected in November. She got into the House even before sworn in Nancy Mace, attacking her, and then Johnson goes and imposes this ban on Sarah McBride being able to use female restrooms and female spaces in the Capitol. Okay? And I've got to tell you, the transgender community was not very happy with Sarah McBride because she really didn't fight it.
Right.
So what they've been doing from the floor of the House is they've been misgendering Sarah McBride, calling Sarah, the gentleman from Delaware, and of course, misgendering. Of course, it's just a outright slur and attack. But earlier this week, we got our first real taste of somebody standing up for her. So at a hearing earlier this week run by Keith Self, who's a Republican from Texas, it was the subcommittee on Europe. Keith Self is the sub-chair, is the chair of that subcommittee. It was a hearing on arms control. And Keith Self and Sarah McBride is in that hearing, on the, part of the committee. And so is a guy named Bill Keating, a Democrat from Massachusetts. And this clip you're going to play, you're going to hear Keith Self, misgender Sarah McBride, and then your listeners are going to hear what real allyship sounds like.
1 second. Here we go.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply...
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman? Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Go ahead, Ellie. Tell, because you said this looks like to show up. Go ahead.
Patti, just unbelievable. Bill Keating, he just demonstrated what all of our elected representatives, and actually any human, needs to do to help be an ally for transgender people. You know, and his statement, "Have you no decency?" Patti, that's got to be the catchphrase for the entire Trump administration. Don't you agree? I mean, with what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, none of what they are doing is decent.
No.
None of it. None of it is about protecting people. And for your listeners who are wondering, it's just a pronoun. But what it is for transgender people, it's basic respect. That's all. It's not celebration. You call me she and her. Those are my pronouns. I am not looking for you to have a party for me. Okay? But I am looking for you to at least recognize that I have the right to exist as I identify. You know? Yep. And I just thank you for playing this clip because it's just so incredibly powerful.
And I have to say, it's interesting that Congressman Keating, actually, this goes back to refuting Joe McCarthy. It was Joseph Welch who said this
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's brilliant, and you're absolutely right, because this needs to be what's said over and over again. Have you no decency? You have no respect, because we keep being demanded of say thank you. Now, so far, we've had Trump say it to Zelensky. We've had Rubio. I mean, like, they're all telling us we should. The press secretary says we should all be thankful. We should be kissing their boots, kissing their feet. She said we should kiss their feet. And do they have no decency? And I'm pretty sure they don't.
They don't. Because they don't. All they do is care about themselves, and about accumulating power and money, of course, right? Yeah. But they do not. It's just still mind-blowing for me that the ordinary MAGA person, the mom or the pop, who voted for him, who believe that he's going to change everything, make it all better for them. It blows my mind that they don't understand that he does not care about them one iota.
And that's the thing, is that, again, the fact that Newsom and Rahm Emanuel are out there, Rahm, who, by the way, during his administration, introduced an ordinance to have gender-neutral bathrooms. Right? He did that. And now he's like, I never want to hear about bathrooms again, after he closed 50 schools in Chicago, disproportionately affecting communities of color, and now says we should be focused on education. Are you kidding me? These opportunists? I'm getting very angry, Ellie. I'm sorry. But at any rate.
I know. Tone deaf stuff, from these people.
Yeah, because
it's just...
Well,
it's unbelievable,
Yeah.
But let me give you just a little bit more report, okay?
Yes,
like 500 bills have been anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ, but mainly anti-trans bills. 500 have been introduced across the country in the state houses. I mean, they are not letting up on my community. No. I mean, and I'll tell you, in Texas, the harbinger of what's going to come was introduced. In Texas, they introduced a bill to create gender fraud as a crime, which essentially says if you report your status to an employer or to the government in some way that is inconsistent with what you were identified at birth, when, of course, I had no choice about who I was, no idea who I was. But if Ellie Krug was in Texas, I sign up for my driver's license, or I go apply for a job and I say I'm a woman, which I am, that I could be accused of gender fraud, go to jail, pay $10,000 fine. Now, that bill is not going to go anywhere in Texas because it's coming in too late into the legislature. But that bill is going to pave the way for similar bills next year, guaranteed, and maybe nationally.
We were talking to Ellie Krug, who is an attorney, is a host on KTNF AM950. Tell folks when they can catch your show and where to find it, all the previous shows, so they can catch up.
Oh, Yeah, thanks, Patty. So the show is The Illegal Trans Woman. It's on AM950. All you have to do is Google The Illegal Trans Woman because it's the only show of its kind. They can find me that way. They can also go to my website at elliekrug.com. I'm a national speaker on human inclusivity as well as on protecting transgender and gender-expansive people. If you have any listeners that have affiliation with a church or an organization and they want somebody to speak to them about what's going on in our country, about how to be welcoming to trans or LGBTQ people, reach out to me at elliekrug.com. Follow me on Substack. Follow me on my newsletter, which you can find on the website.
Now, if you're not done with us, I would like to continue our conversation. Because I have some folks running for municipal races, township races here in Illinois, and I think they're interested in also continuing the conversation. If you have time for another segment.
Absolutely.
Yay.
For sure.
All right, let me bring back in our guests from the previous hour after we take a break on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. We're talking to Ellie Krug, and I want to learn more, and I think the more we know, the less afraid or angry I think maybe people could be. If we could take it down a notch, take it down a notch! Okay, just a moment. Let me come back in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
These are real stories of speech-language pathologists and the people they helped.
He was in his 30s.
55 and far from home.
15 years old with multiple disabilities.
It was a traumatic brain injury.
He's bilingual but lost his English after the stroke.
Several surgeries led to his swallowing disorder.
His goal was to get back to work.
I used French during therapy.
Others almost gave up on the goal of him eating.
Oh, he was dedicated.
Together, we built his life back.
Social interaction was the key to helping him.
And he made it back to work.
When he ate, his friends cheered.
Everyone has the right to communicate.
And later, he was able to travel across the world to his family.
Are you or someone you know experiencing a speech, language, or swallowing disorder? An ASHA-certified speech-language pathologist can help. Visit us at asha.org/public.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and we're proud to welcome our new sponsor to Driving It Home. Are you really winning? Gambling is common in Illinois, with many people taking their chances on the lottery, video game rooms, casinos, or online sports betting. When you find yourself betting and thinking about gambling all the time, when you lose more than you win, and when gambling is affecting your job, relationships, and more. Are you really winning? We are here to help you because you are not alone. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit areyoureallywinning.com today. Again, that's areyoureallywinning.com.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. We've been talking to Ellie Krug, host of the Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF, our friends in Minneapolis on AM950. And we want to continue our conversations. And joining us in studio, I want to bring back our candidates for races here in the Chicagoland area, actually in Addison Township. You can visit Dems for AddisonTownship.com to learn more about them. But they're right here in studio. Maria Vesey, who's running for clerk. We have Debbie Sandstrom and Titus here, both running for Board of Trustees. Ellie wanted to introduce you guys to each other because to introduce you all to each other because these are issues I think that are passionate, that people are passionate about. So Ellie, let me start going back to something you mentioned about speaking, and if folks want to learn more about how to be supportive and understand better, because this took me a while. Look, nobody spontaneously is perfect in this regard, right, Ellie?
I am.
Right.
Just Maria Vesey. So first of all, now Maria, you wanted to join the conversation as well.
I did. I have a non-binary transgender first cousin who I adore with every fiber of my being. So when I hear all of the non-transgender rhetoric, it really bothers me. There's actually a young girl right now that I've been noticing on social media. She's a model, and they made her change her passport to male.
Right.
How much trouble is she going to have when she tries to travel and it does not match up with what she looks like is dumbfounding to me.
Yeah. Ellie, we're seeing a lot of that, aren't we?
Well, we are. And Maria, I want to just thank you for loving your first cousin, okay? Because having family members or friends who transition, that's what they need the most. They need love. They need somebody being there, somebody supporting them, because it's a very lonely journey. But Patty, to answer your question, this administration is going literally out of its way to erase transgender people from public life. And so if your passport or your driver's license doesn't match, the gender marker does not match your physical presentation, it invites all kinds of intrusion into your life and possibly, depending on the country that somebody may travel with the passport, possibly some form of criminal prosecution. And remember, there's no decency. Trump and his acolytes, they're welcoming that.
Well, this entire hate mongering has created a lot of problems there's been several lesbian women who've been in women's bathrooms, and they're being called out and told to come out of the stall because they think they're men.
By law enforcement. With men in the bathroom. I thought their problem was...
Yes. Okay, Titus is over there shaking his head, going, what?
Did I swear? I didn't swear.
No, you didn't. You're fine. You're fine. Also, one of the other things that they're doing now is if your name on your birth certificate does not match your voter registration card, they don't have to let you vote. So not only does this come into play for transgender, this comes into play for millions upon millions of women who changed their last name when they got married.
Yeah.
So
right,
now
and many of them changed their last name without court orders.
Yes.
And that's the rub. That's the rub. You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're now attacking more than 50% of the country, trying to suppress their vote because their vote might be a liberal vote.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the patriarchy. It's men trying to control everything other than other men, okay? And everyone, and trying to instill this society which is ordered in a way in which there's no room for any dissent, no room for any diversity, no room for anything other than white Christian nationalism.
Yeah. I don't, and this will be a longer conversation. I don't get the visceral reaction to even this conversation, the disgust, and then like one of the things that I've seen people post on my Facebook wall when we are just being open to all conversations is, well, they're mentally ill. Okay, so we
throw them away.
But it doesn't make any sense to me. Then what are you talking about, right? It's insane. So how can we be good allies? What are some of the things you want people to know about being good allies and being people who speak out as well?
Well, I think, first of all, modeling compassion and kindness for us is incredibly important, just like Maria is doing and like Bill Keating did, for Sarah McBride. The biggest challenge that my community faces is the idea that this is a choice. That you don't need, to transition genders. You don't need to really truly be who you are. Now, we went through that whole issue with the gay and lesbian, movement in the 80s and the 90s. Remember that people used to say it's a choice, you're being gay, and, maybe you could have a romantic relationship with somebody, but you can choose not to have sex with them. Do you remember those arguments?
Yep.
But society's gotten past that, but not with trans people. And so I think the best thing that somebody can do other than pronouns and respect and love is understand that this is not a choice. It's not a choice.
Yeah. I don't see, and I never will understand, what does it do to you? Why are you so wrapped up in other people's lives and concerns? I'll never understand it, Ellie.
Ellie, I'm going to tell you how my family reacted when my uncle told us about Florian. It was actually the night my mother passed away. Mm. And my whole family, aunts, uncles, everyone was in the kitchen of my house. And my uncle said, before we have to meet with the rest of the family, I have something I have to tell all of you. And he looked at us, we're like, yeah, go ahead. And he goes, Katie is now Florian, and they are non-binary transgender. And we all looked at him and went, yeah, okay. And he goes, what do you mean, yeah, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Like, so?
What's for dinner?
Right. Who brought food? Exactly. That was the response.
Well, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
It is so beautiful. I mean, I've been best friends with somebody since the 8th grade. He was the quarterback on the football team. I was the frontline guard. When I came out to him, told him, hey, I'm really a woman, not a guy, and I also have same-sex attractions. He just said to me, I don't care. As long as you're still willing to drink beer with me. Right. That's all he said. He said, I don't care if you show up at a dress, as long as you're still willing to have a beer with me.
That's fantastic.
And he and I have become like brother and sister. But Maria, when you tell those stories, just like the one you just told, what that does is it models for other people. It tells them that, hey, it's okay for you if this happens in your family to react the same very way, to react with acceptance, that it's no big deal.
Exactly.
So please keep telling that story. It's incredibly important.
I tell everyone this story, and I've told this story on Patty's show before. My mother was a hairdresser. My mother owned beauty shops in the city of Chicago in the 70s and the 80s. The number of men that worked for my mother that we lost to AIDS was ghastly.
Oh.
Okay. There was, I had just had my first son and came back here from California, and I had this 6-month-old baby in my arms. I had a job interview the next day, so I went by my mom to get a haircut. So I would look my best for this interview. And there was Paul, who had done my hair when I got married, and Bruce was there, and Rusty was there, and Steve was there. There was a bunch of them there. And Paul is dancing around me as I'm holding this baby. And I'm looking at him like, what the hell is your problem? And I looked at him, I go, what is your problem, goofball? Do you just want to hold the baby? And he stops, and he goes, dead cold. And Titus is over there shaking his head because he knows all the participants in this. And he goes dead cold, and he looks at me and goes, can I hold the baby? I go, yes, why? And the tears start flowing. And he goes, because I've never held my niece or my nephew. My brother would never let me.
Oh.
My heart broke in 1,000 pieces, but I wasn't going to let him know that at that point. So I handed him the baby. I said, there's food over there. There's diapers over there. Paul comes screeching like that Tom Cruise movie across and slides across the floor of the beauty shop and goes, I'm next. From that point forward, and I had another son, and every time I went into the beauty shop, Paul would take about an hour or 2 hours and clear out the board from his clients and take my sons to do something fun. They would go to the Art Institute across the street, or they would go to Grant Park to get hot dogs and fly kites, or they would go down to watch the symphony practice. I mean, the fun things that he did with these two little boys was amazing. We lost Paul to AIDS. It was heart-wrenching and devastating.
Yeah.
It is heart-wrenching, and I'm sorry about the loss of your friend and the loss of so many other people. But the story that you tell is really just about Paul wanting to feel normal.
Yes.
Just wanting to be normal. And that's really what today all queer people want, but particularly trans, non-binary humans. We just want to be left alone to lead normal, boring. I'm living out in like a red county in a subdivision filled with all kinds of straight cisgender white people, and they leave me alone. They like me. Okay, that's all we want.
Yeah,
we don't want to be attacked. Yep. Unfortunately, the reality is that we are being persecuted, and that is the right word.
Yes,
by this administration.
Yep. We have a listener that wants to join the conversation. That's our friend Steve in Chicago. Steve, thank you for calling. What's on your mind, my friend?
I want to make 2 quick points. One of them is, in my opinion, the reason this anti-trans bigotry has gotten hold is wrapped up in misogyny, because you have especially men who cannot wrap their minds around the idea that somebody would be willing to give up the privilege of being a man in the United States to become a woman, because they know that women are not treated equally.
Fascinating. Interesting. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, and my other point is, one of the reasons, again, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, that the Republicans are going so hard against trans people is because they know they're a small, politically weak, financially challenged segment of the population. So they know that they can beat up and they won't be able to fight back as effectively. And they know people will stand back and go, oh, well, it's just a small group. Why should we get upset about it? Which is exactly why we have to fight back as a team.
Yep.
Because once they've gotten rid of the trans people, then they'll go after the rest of the gay people, and then they'll go after the Jews, and then they'll go after the Catholics and the Muslims. And they, do I have to repeat the poem again? First they came for the socialists.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was so disgusted by Rahm Emanuel and Gavin Newsom's appearances on the shows that we've talked about. And by the way, Rahm didn't just do Bill Maher. He's been doing a speaking tour. Ellie, I don't know if you're familiar with this situation as well.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Check it out. No, Rahm went on Bill Maher and said, I never want to hear about bathrooms again. And all. I mean, and he's taking advantage of this situation, I think, in this moment in history. Ellie, Steve, thank you so much for calling, my friend.
Happy to.
Thank you. By the way, so if you guys are all cool with this, we have more callers that want to join us. Ellie, can you stay for another segment?
I can, absolutely.
Excellent.
Thanks
Let's take a break.
for having me.
Of course,
yeah.
We're talking to Ellie. The phone lines. I mean, like folks are engaged. And my guests in studio who are running for office in Addison Township. You can go to Addison, go to Dems for AddisonTownship.com. We have in studio Maria Vesey, who's running for clerk, Titus Dare and Debbie Sandstrom, who are running for board of trustees, along with Max Ashrafi. Ashrafi. Thank you. I apologize, Max. I apologize. Joey Moore and Bobby Hernandez, who's running for supervisor. So let's take a break here. Continue our conversation with Ellie Krug, who is the host of The Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul. More this compelling conversation, important conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Regina Kroll. For this evening, mostly clear as we drop back to 37. Warmer Thursday, high of 59 and sunny. Then passing clouds come in for Thursday night as we bottom out around 48. Temperatures warm even more for Friday, high of 74, mostly sunny, but it will be windy. Showers and thunderstorms come in Friday night. Mostly cloudy, we dip back to 55. Showers and storms will linger into Saturday, too. Partly sunny and a high of 64. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 50 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Attention all listeners, financial planners, CPA, and divorce attorneys. In 2021, there were over 420,000 licensed loan originators. Today, that number is down to 93,000. That's a reduction of over 75% of licensed loan officers within the past 4 years. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender who's still in business. While mortgage companies have been closing and hundreds of thousands of loan officers have left the business since 2021, Team Hochberg has expanded and is stronger than ever and would love to earn your business. Let's review. Hundreds of mortgage companies have closed down and over 327,000 loan officers exited the mortgage business, while Team Hochberg has expanded and is stronger than ever. If you'd like to work with experienced mortgage professionals who'll appreciate your business, call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Such a great conversation. This is going to be one of those days where I wish I had a 3-hour show. Don't tell management. Joining me in studio, we have our friends who are running for Addison Township races. We have Dems for Addison. Go to demsforaddisontownship.com. In studio, we have running for Board of Trustees, Debbie Sandstrom, Titus Dare, joining Joey Moore and Max Ashrafi, and running for supervisor is Bobby Hernandez, and in studio we have Maria Vesey running for clerk. On the line with us, joining us for a regular monthly segment is Ellie Krug, host of the Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF AM950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Thank you so much, Ellie, for giving us more time. I really appreciate it.
To do it.
Anything? I know that Steve kind of shared a couple of thoughts before I get to another phone call. I wanted somebody messaged back that was an interesting point, a couple interesting points that Steve made. In regards in particular to, do you think, I mean, it's not your job, and sometimes this is where I get clumsy, I'll be honest. Ellie, I know that you speak and you want to share more information, but it's also not your job to do all the work for us too. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm happy to do the work. Trust me. Okay, because other people can have a narrative that isn't necessarily consistent with what is the really lived experience of a trans person. So I thought Steve's points were totally on point. Steve, there is no ACT UP. No ACT UP for the transgender community. Not like ACT UP existed, for the mainly gay men community as they were fighting to get the federal government to approve funding for AIDS research. We don't have that, and the Republicans know that. And I agree wholeheartedly with this patriarchal thing. I really do. I mean, they feel threatened, I think, by transgender women because we've been, not that I'm anybody great, but we've been brave. We've listened to who we truly are rather than trying to suppress it, and push it down because everybody is wired differently.
Yep.
I just got wired this way. I didn't choose to get wired this way. I got wired this way. I fought it for 52 years until I realized I'd lay on my deathbed and I would hate myself for not having lived a more authentic life.
And trans people have been with us forever. Right.
Absolutely.
There are different cultures that don't come at this as a. I mean, the idea that the United States is like there are only two genders, right? And even if that was, truly all you can accept, then when someone tells you what their gender is, believe them. Then there. I mean, that's not a solution, but I mean, like the mental gymnastics, I can't. I mean, like they're masters at the mental gymnastics. They're on the rings, on the balance beam, on the pommel. It's insane. All right, I feel like I'm yelling a lot today, Ellie. I don't mean to do that during our segment, but
I think you're doing great, Patty. Are you kidding me? We need allies like you and like the other folks you have in the studio. Absolutely.
We have a listener out of Seattle who would like to join the conversation. Paul is calling from Seattle. What's on your mind? You're on with all of us, including Ellie Krug on the line with from KTNF AM950. What's up, Paul?
Well, I guess I'm confused these days because I remember back in the 70s when I was playing in a traveling rock and roll band, and I had really long hair, and the guys would say, "Yeah, you belong in the ladies' room, don't you?" And I'm like, and now they're upset about somebody that looks like I did go in the ladies' room. And by the way, that in some of those places in the Midwest that I was playing at the time. Cincinnati, Southern Ohio, and in Indiana, the women said, "Don't go in the men's room; they'll beat you up in there." And they said, "Just come in here, and if you have to go potty, we don't care." And I did, as a matter of fact. At one place, a guy just came up to me and punched me in the face right out of the blue. Yeah, my nose was bleeding like crazy, and I went to the emergency room. It wasn't broken, but it was pretty sore. And he just walked out and got in his car and left. But why do these people get to just push people around because of their own insecurities?
Yeah.
Their reaction formation about their own sexuality. This has nothing to do with. I mean, I'm straight. I'm straight as they come. I'm sorry. That's how I know that other people's orientation is natural because mine is natural. I am the way I am because it's natural for me. And yet, because I had long hair, a guy thinks it's okay to come up and punch me in the face in a. I mean, and then walk away. And of course, he got away. There was no way to find out who was he or whatever go. I don't know. My friends were more worried about me, and I just get so sick of these people. It's just, and to have a government, a president who's trying to push his hatred. And this is what he's trying to do with his tariffs. We're getting ripped off. We're being ripped off to make everybody angry at everybody around the world. This is what it's all about. And these are not Christians. I'm sorry. But to say that, well, you're a male if you have an X and a Y chromosome, these are not tinker toys. I doubt that anybody, honestly, I doubt that anybody in this audience could tell you what do the X and Y chromosomes actually do.
Right.
What do they do?
Well,
nobody in the MAGA community could tell you, they code for proteins that make hormones. And so that's going to be vastly different between people. It's very possible that everybody's hormone content is going to be different. I know a girl, let me tell you something. I knew a girl that my buddy in college dated. You talk about sports. He was a triathlete, and neither me or him could touch her, couldn't come close to her in running or swimming or biking. I mean, forget it. I'm not in the same league.
Right.
Not even in the same league. So it's like, why can't... Well, it's just ridiculous. So the idea that there's such a big difference between men and women is just wrong. It is wrong. I mean, even in college sports and swimming, the difference is not that big. When I swam in high school, most of the girls on the team could beat me. So in pretty much everything. So it's just ridiculous to think that. It's just, I'm so tired of people getting pushy. Like I said, it had nothing to do with my gender orientation. The fact that I had long hair meant that people thought 50 years ago that they could push me around by threatening me.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Ellie, do you have any thoughts? Because I know that Paul. I mean, we're all passionate today about this, Ellie.
No, well, I love his passion, and thank you, Paul, for being such a great ally and just talking straight up about common sense here. The problem is that the intolerant people, I wouldn't even care about the intolerant people, except they have power. That's the problem. And they have amassed such an amount of power right now that it is almost impossible to fight back. That's why, that segment that you played about Keating, just saying, getting in their face, saying, leave her alone. Yeah. So important. But we need a whole lot more Bill Keatings in Congress, okay? And we need a whole lot more Bill Keatings in public life.
Ellie, have you read Sarah McBride's book?
No, I have not, but I'm aware of it, and I'm sure it's a great book.
It's a really wonderful book, and the story about losing her husband is quite possibly one of the saddest things I've ever read in my life and one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. But she's just amazing on all levels.
Absolutely. She had the tenacity to run for the Senate in the legislature in Delaware after that loss of her husband, the love of her life, and was able to convince Delawareans, I hope that's the right phrase, about just seeing her as a person trying to do good for them in the state, and she succeeded at that. She's trying to do that now. After the event with Bill Keating, she came out in public and said that she just simply wanted to serve and try and make the world a better place. But it's also about human stories. Transgender people, they fall in love. They want to lead normal lives. They lose people in their lives. Then they suffer grief. It's no different for my community than it is for anyone else. But yet, as Paul made so clear, they are hell-bent.
I'm pushing people around.
Yeah.
On shoving their vision of whatever their idea of what a man and a woman are. And I'm so tired of it. Let's take a break here because we have another a listener on the line who would like to join the conversation. We are in studio with candidates for races in Addison Township. Go to Dems for Addison Township.com. That's Dems for Addison Township.com. And joining us on the line is Ellie Krug, host of the Ellie, am I saying your last name correctly?
Krug, yep, long you.
Look at that. Well, hey, everybody, mark that down, that I got a name right, everybody. The host of the Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And again, our guests in studio, Maria Vesey running for clerk of Addison Township, Titus Dare and Debbie Sandstrom running for Board of Trustees. So make sure your early voting starts on Monday, March 17th, and the last day to vote is on April 1st. So get that done. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
We had a call on this show. A black woman who called in to say that the pre-election finger pointing at black voters was wrong, that she and her community showed up. And she then asked, with real agony and some anger in her voice, where were the rest of us? She felt betrayed. Boy, I understand those feelings.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. When Serena Williams won her title at the Tennis Grand Slam tournament, we know she gets the same prize money as her male counterpart. However, prior to 1973, that wasn't always the case. When Billie Jean King captured her first Wimbledon title in 1966, she was surprised to find out that the winner of the men's tournament received £2,000, while she only received £750. After being unable to find any tournaments for women, King and 8 other women formed their own tournament, the Virginia Slims Invitational, where each woman was paid $1 before posing for the famous picture of them each holding up their dollar, with the caption, Contract Pros. While the move was bold, the pay discrepancies continued. King threatened to boycott the 1973 U.S. Open unless the women were paid the same as the men. Thanks to a grant from Band Deodorant, both the men and women's singles would take home $25,000. Despite the progress at the U.S. Open, it wouldn't be until 1984 that the Australian Open would execute equal pay, followed by the French Open in 2006, and finally Wimbledon in 2007. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're fighting for your rights.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive at home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez. Joining me in studio, if you're watching the live stream, we have candidates running for Addison Township races. We have Maria Vesey, who's running for clerk. We have also Debbie Sandstrom and Titus Dare, who are running for Board of Trustees. Go to Addison, Dems for AddisonTownship.com. Again, that's Dems for AddisonTownship.com. On the line with us is Ellie Krug, the host of The Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I want to thank you all for continuing this conversation because we can go back and forth. We all kind of, have our thoughts, and maybe we've thought about it. We've been working on this for a while. And when listeners call in, that's when I know people are engaged and want to be involved. So, Ellie, thank you for hanging out with us a little extra than we intended. So I'm just very grateful.
I'm happy to do it, Patty. Absolutely.
Here's Rachel in Park Ridge. Rachel, what's on your mind? You're on with all my wonderful guests.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you. I was just thinking that I learned something today. So, when Trump says, they're trying to make mice transgender, this guy is such an idiot, but he uses every opportunity to try to demean and make people less than and stupid and justify his tax cuts that are coming up. But so I was watching Midas Touch, and one of the guests was telling me or saying on YouTube that it's actually transgenic, and it's basically the study. They use mice, but it's basically to help learn about and prevent cancer and various diseases.
Right.
It has nothing to do. It's meant to introduce genes and alter genes to see if they can change the DNA.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with transgender people, but we got to call it out.
Yes.
We have to call it out. He used that as a little jokey joke when he goes out, if he's not afraid, to come out to the mic. It'll just come up. And I wish one of the reporters would call it out. They know that that's not a thing, transgendered mice. Yeah. But anything to try to poke, Democrats or make fun or assign something to us that we're not about. But I will say that, I've been around gay people since I was like 14, 15, 16. Party, everything. But what I will say is that personally, I do believe that based on my church, that it's a man or a woman. But I do understand that there are instances where you don't know what the gender is and things like that. But I wish we would learn. I'll vote for anybody that's standing for the right thing.
There you go.
I don't want us to with identity first, like, I'm the first gay. Yes, I wish you weren't the first, and you're probably not the first, but gay person or whatever. But I want us to be and people that we're trying to attract to vote for their integrity, vote for because they're standing up for all the stable issues that we need.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Rachel. I'm Rachel also getting passionate. And I would say, Ellie, in regards to, I think first, when we say that for anybody, it's about representation, that nobody else for artificial reasons might have been held back from having those positions. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And Rachel talking about the transgenic mice. They're wiping out of the vocabulary of the whole federal government all kinds of words. So, of course, they're focusing on something that says trans, and even though they don't know, I think they just don't care. It's outright lies.
Yes.
Of course, I know it's a shock, but Donald Trump lies. But just think, they wiped out, the reference to the Enola Gay.
Yep.
The World War II bomber, because the word gay, was, they just
That was the pilot's mother.
Right.
That was her name.
Yeah.
That was the pilot's mother.
Yeah. So, again, it's about erasure. That's the whole goal. And if you can't even find the words, well, then they don't exist. And then, of course, for my community, it's the implication that we don't have the right to exist.
Well, Ellie,
and that's where we get to Nazi Germany.
Well, and that's where we get exactly because it's a lack of empathy and humanity, and I just can't. It's so much. Again, Ellie, remind folks where they can find, because now I am up against the end of the show. Where can folks find your show and all the work that you do?
Yep. All they have to do is Google the illegal trans woman. It will come up on AM950 KTNF. They can find me at my website at elliekrug.com. Please follow me on Substack. Follow me on Blue Sky. It's at Ellie Krug Blue Sky. Patty, thank you for having me. Your guest, it's just nice to meet you. I appreciated your input, and I look forward to talking to you next month.
Yep. I look forward to it. And if you have anything that comes up and you're like, I want to talk about this, please don't hesitate to reach out to Jerry and say, hey, I really want to jump on if I can. All right?
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah, please
I'll do that.
All right, thank you so much, Ellie.
Thank you. Take care.
You
Okay,
too.
bye-bye.
Thank you. I have to play my little music. That means I have to be done in 30 seconds. I want to thank my guests that were in studio here for being so kind to stay with us. And what do you want to let folks know before I let you go? Maria, got 10 seconds.
Municipals are important. We need everybody to come out and vote April 1st. Vote Democrat. Let's do it.
How about you,
Empathy is important everywhere, at the local election and in the country across. Townships are where empathy happens on a tangible basis.
Excellent. You, Titus?
Yes, it would be vote your heart. Absolutely vote your heart.
That's all you want to say?
That's all I want to say.
All right, then. All right. Tune in tomorrow on Richard Chu, because he has a 20-year Army veteran, Adam Mulvey, and former government employee who recently lost his job on account of Doge firing. So that's going to be on Richard Chu's show. And tomorrow, Eric Zorn is filling in for Joan. Everybody, have a great night. Randy Rhodes is up next. Thank you, Lady B. Love you. And Matt McNeil at 9. Bye, everybody.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest.